building your business coaching business with influence. That's what we're discussing on the Business Coaching Success Podcast. Let's jump in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad that you are here. I surely pray that you will get some value out of what we're talking today, which is about influence. How do you build and why should you build a solid business coaching practice being a very influential person? We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about some actions and activities, and we'll go from there. Just came back recently from the International Maxwell Conference in Orlando, Florida. If you don't know what that is, John Maxwell, who is the author, or I should say authority, on leadership by far. And I'm very privileged and honored to be able to be a founding partner with the Maxwell certified team. And it absolutely has changed my life. As a matter of fact, the first time I saw John speak was in '96 at a men's event called Promise Keepers. Perhaps you're familiar. And his message was just like, this is me. And tons of value. And went downstairs there in the old Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. Excuse me. And bought a book bundle, all of his books that at the time. And the one that stuck out the most, two of them really, becoming a person of influence, and then developing the leader within you. And I still have those books today, still go through them. No doubt. If you want to build a very successful, whatever financial number that looks like for you, if you want to build a successful business coaching practice, especially as a believer, a person of faith, influence must be at the center core. All right, here's why. When you look at what others do in the coaching space, it's very normal that a lot of coaches are selling coaching services. Okay, and then you say, well, isn't that what we're doing? And the answer to that is as far as I'm concerned, no. That is a sabotaging way to really hurt your efforts, makes the process far longer. It will honestly act as a repellent to those that you're trying to interact with, because what it conveys is that all you're really interested in is in, getting a client. And clearly that's exactly what we want to do. We got to get paid. We want to make a living. We want to make a good living. There's nothing wrong. One of the biggest reasons that how you can give back and be super invested into others, charitables, organizations, ministries, church, whatever, is if you're able to, have a good amount of it. And certainly making a good amount of money in coaching is fantastic. But if that's if that's what people are feeling, as you're building your network, you're interacting, if all they really sense and feel is that you just want a client, it's just sabotaging. So what do you do to solve that? And that is becoming highly influential. Okay, we want to become absolutely remarkable at creating magnetization from others to us. And you do that through influence. Let's talk about some traits of someone who is influential, and start to just think about you, where you are. Do you embody these traits? Are you actively increasing the skills of these traits? If not, that's certainly something that you can work on. The first is integrity. When we talk about integrity, and you may say, well, I'm an honest person. Yes, but integrity goes well further than that. Especially in coaching and building a business as a coach. Integrity is you're sticking to the idea of I'm going to over-deliver and under-promise. But what happens a lot of times is that, when we're just trying to get a client, we tend to, or it's just simple for some to not stretch things and just use hyperbole, but just to kind of say whatever to make it work. We want to be integritous with our intentions. Not that we're going to make mistakes. We're human beings. We want to be integritous with all of our intentions, trustworthy. This even goes down into, sticking to a time. If you're meeting a time and you're late all the time or whatever, that's not integrous and trustworthy with your time, especially on how it affects someone else. So we want to certainly be integrous. Nurturing. Somebody who is an influential person really desires the goal to nurture a relationship. All right, you're not going to get, it's not an overnight process. If you want deep relationships, adding value and nurturing those relationships is required. Well, guess what? That takes work. Checking in on people. Hey, how you doing? How is this? How is that? Truly investing into learning them well beyond just the strategies to help the business grow. Faith in people. As a coach, you have to have a level of faith, even when it potentially looks like this may not work. You're going to come across working with others where maybe somebody doesn't understand technology. Maybe they don't know, like in our coaching tools that we have for all of our coaches that use, we have an entire done-for-you system. And it's a step-by-step guided approach where we're helping businesses increase their profits and their revenues one strategy at a time. Well, when in doing that, you're going to come up with some that just don't understand the strategy. And you got to have faith and believe and help them along so they can learn it. If you get frustrated, that can tend to poke a hole in your faith in someone, and then now you don't believe in them. You don't believe in their potential. You don't believe. That's not an influential person truly believes, and they're going to go to the grave always believing and having faith. Listening. An influential person is becoming a skilled, lifelong listener. And I'll tell you, depending upon your personality type, and if you're familiar with a DISC model, everybody's got strengths and areas is that they have got blind spots. And for many, listening is one of those areas where lots of people like to talk, few like to listen. But it's not just about listening, it's about hearing really what they're saying, what they're actually going through, because listening connects to nurturing. Because as you listen and understand, that gives you the ability to nurture the relationship even further. Understanding is being truly empathetic into what someone is dealing with. It's very easy in certain cases just to discount what somebody's going through, and we do that oftentimes when we're not empathetic, we're not listening to the core issues, right? Connecting. An influential person is somebody who has the heart and the desire to be a connector. And not only to want to be a connector, but you're going to be viewed in your community, in your network, in your sphere of influence as somebody who is consistently connecting. That just simply means, it's, hey man, listen, I have a friend I just in my gut. You really need to know them. Or I have somebody who owns the XYZ business. You really need to know them. Like you have a tenacity to constantly want to link people together, to build stronger. I think one of the most amazing things that you can do in building your coaching practice, especially at the local level. It's a little bit easier at a local level than in a more virtual level. Still totally can be done. But when you are creating community, when you are creating groups, like they could be masterminds, they could be, we have several coaches that are doing a ministry in the marketplace type of group with their church and so on. But when you're viewed as that connector and you truly are connecting individuals, it literally can change the outcome of your business. Why? Because you personally are getting connected to more and more and more people. And certainly empowering people and encouraging them. A word that you need to have in your vocabulary is, hey, I want to encourage you on something. So you're connecting all these things together. So when you're listening with empathy, you're nurturing the relationship, and you're beginning to see how you can potentially add value and bring some solution. You're the guide. Bring some solution. And I'm not even talking about just your clients. I'm talking about every single person you interact with. So as you're listening to someone talk about, life, business challenges, an employee or whatever, as you're engaging with them, you listen You've taken stock, you're nurturing the relationship. Say, listen, I want to encourage you with something that I think that might be of value to you. Like, if you say phrases like that, and I'm not saying just to say them, you clearly have to mean it, but when you start to talk like that, that's where people begin to listen to you at a deeper level because they see you now as the guide and the solutionist, if that's even a word. It is today. But to truly be able to say, I want to encourage you. Like, put that word into your daily vocabulary. Everybody you talk to, find a way, find a reason to use it. Because I found when you are looking for ways to encourage someone and to tell them that you want to encourage them, that puts you in the seat for listening at a much, much deeper level. Okay? Now, here's a few areas that you can call them levels if you'd like to, different aspects of being a person of influence. But one, a behavior we want to motivate people. As guides, as strategists, as coaches, we want to motivate them. So let's put this into practicality. You're working with a client. You're working with a strategy. They're struggling with understanding it. Our goal isn't to correct them and just to do it for them. We want to motivate them as to why to understand it and to learn it is important. There's an area there for motivation. Let's say that we're working with, could be a client, could just be someone in our network, and they're sharing with you a challenge with an employee. And depending upon their personality, just because they're the boss, just because they own the company, just because they are the entrepreneur, not everyone handles those situations well. Oftentimes, those personalities who, they are predisposition, they don't like to offend people, they don't want to hurt someone, whatever, and so they tend to hold back from saying the stuff that needs to be said in the right Christ-like manner. So we want to motivate them. Look, I get it, it's hard. I understand that it's tough. I know it, working with people like this, they have a family to support, but they're not fulfilling their obligation and their duties on the job, and it's causing some internal turmoil. But I want to encourage you. Here's why it's going to be a good thing. Boom, 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 boom. And you go down the list. You're motivating them and helping them to see what's necessary. Those are obviously just examples, but the goal is I want to have a trait and to model the behavior of being a motivator, mentor. When those in your sphere of influence, in your community, in your network begin to see you as a mentor and not just as a coach, but truly as a mentor, you're guiding others, you're sharing knowledge, you're sharing experiences, you're encouraging them, and so on. They begin to just naturally recognize because of that level of activity that you display. Multiply. Probably the highest level of being a person of influence is when you're encouraging them to also be a person of influence. And why? Now, I'll leave it with here. I believe that if you take the principles, and certainly you can read John's book, Becoming a Person of Influence. You can certainly find different things on the internet, other books and whatnot. This is a lifelong process. I believe that when you pray that God would bless your actions and your activities and give you sight, put people in my path, show me what I can do. This is not something that you just get better at tomorrow, next week, or whatever. It's not even about getting better at it. It's just certainly just having the desire in the heart to be influential for the greater cause of good. And I'm telling you, when you do this, and you move away from just selling coaching services as a business coach, we don't want to do that. We want to be seen as a guide, as a strategist, and more importantly, as a person of influence. Perhaps you've been thinking about, maybe you are coaching people for free. And you love to make an impact. You love helping people go from A to Z and so on. But you don't have systems, tools, processes, and whatnot. And you've heard us talk about a done-for-you system. You can go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. There's some information that you can get there. We'll share with you about our entire done-for-you system, how we do that, our community, and how we're helping businesses grow profitability, become better leaders, how to drive culture, and certainly ministry in the marketplace opportunities. If you're curious about wanting to chat with us, you can do that there as well. Okay? Hope today's episode gives you value to be influential in your community, in your network, in your sphere of influence. Until next time, take care.